Hi, Joe Bolte, PFR Operating Herbicide Specialist with Becks Hybrids at our Effingham, Illinois location. With me today, we're actually across the river in Missouri. We have a special guest, Dr. Kevin Bradley. He is a state extension weed scientist here at the University of Missouri. So when growers are sitting there going through and trying to select the residuals, what are some things that they should keep in mind when they're sitting there selecting pre-emerges?
Yeah, I think just about every industry company, you all as Becks, us as academics, chemical companies, you name it, we've all migrated towards the numbering system. And the group 14s and group 15s, for example, all of that, many farmers are well versed in that now, and that's a good thing. It took us many years to get to that point. But if you're not familiar with that system, you need to learn and look at your labels and look at all the publications that you can get access to and learn those systems. But we need to make sure that when we're rotating, we're truly rotating. That primarily comes from looking at the numbering system. And one of the fears I have is we're pretty well relying right now on the group 14s and 15s. And quite frankly, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. There is something we can do about it. We can start rotating our posts through these different traits, and I think that's going to be a part of our future.
Okay. Yeah, that's another question I had for you is, as we start getting, this year, the LLGT27, that's just an example. As we start moving forward, with these different traits that have multiple stacks with them that actually have some more effective post options as we move forward, it gets a little bit more complicated.
Right.
This does give us another tool in our toolbox that we could possibly use to help with our resistant management. Now, another thing, I guess that it kind of goes back to maybe some of the basic is just, starting clean, selecting, like you said, effective residuals for the weeds that we have, as well as going after, weeds when they're small. Some of these products, going back to carrier volume and things like that. If we're using, like you said, our options are group 14s and group 15s when we're thinking those residual products, how can we get some diversity? Maybe we're in Missouri and water hemps are weed. How can we maybe get some diversity up front so we're not so relying heavy on those group 14 and group 15 products?
Yeah, well, we want to take, what my message has been lately is we want to take the pressure off the group 14s and 15s as much as we can because we're putting so much on it. So there's a couple of ways to do that. Number one, I would say it's not always all about just the herbicides. We haven't talked much about that, and that's fine, but it's maybe not the purpose of this video. We could do a whole nother video just on cultural practices, but we can think of things like cover crops and all of that. So I'll put that out there first. Secondly, if we are just talking specifically about herbicides and taking pressure off of the 14s and 15s, then I would say if you can be in a true corn to soybean rotation and you can get other groups out there, that would be great. We have many more options in corn, But in Missouri, we're in Missouri.
Yep.
We're often not in a true corn and soybean rotation. So the way forward, in my view, and for those, I'm speaking specifically to the soybean grower who's pretty much going to have some set of years where he's growing soybean on soybean. And I think we're going to have to manage those fields by rotating our traits.
Okay, yeah.
And that means like maybe extend as your post this year, maybe in one of the enlist, whether it's the enlist with 2,4-D and glyphosate or enlist with 2,4-D and glufosinate, whatever, we could talk about that. Maybe it's the GT27 you just mentioned, maybe it's Liberty Link. But I think we're going to have to get into those kinds of mindsets about these fields, whether in continuous soybeans, in order to keep our efficacy on the group 14s and 15s. And keep in mind, I'm not saying we're going to go away from pre's on any of those. I'm just saying we're going to be able to rotate our posts.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Bradley, I really want to thank you for your time.
Yeah.
This is Joe Bolte coming from Columbia, Missouri. Thank you with Becks Hybrids.